The ancient Egyptians could move stones the size of trucks. They could turn a corpse into something that lasts 30 centuries. They mapped the stars, invented the calendar you still use, and built monuments we struggle to copy today. So here's a question nobody asks in a museum. Where did all those people go to the bathroom? It sounds like a joke. It isn't. Because the answer takes you somewhere the golden masks never will. Into their bedrooms, their medicine, their class system, and their daily misery. How a civilization handles its waste tells you more about real life there than any temple wall. And the honest answer is, it depended entirely on who you were. So let's follow the question all the way, from the pharaoh's bathroom to the worker's field. And once again, we don't have to guess. Archaeologists have dug up actual Egyptian bathrooms. In the ruins of wealthy villas at the city of Akhetaten, built by the pharaoh Akhenaten, excavators found dedicated little rooms next to the bedrooms, with limestone toilet seats sitting over containers of sand. Some are still in museums today. There's even a portable wooden toilet stool in the Egyptian museum collections. We have their medical scrolls, and an astonishing share of ancient Egyptian medicine is about digestion, constipation, diarrhea, and the bowels. And we have the most honest witnesses of all, the mummies themselves, whose preserved guts still carry the evidence of what daily life really did to the body. Put it together, and you can reconstruct the most private moment of an Egyptian's day. Let's start at the top. If you were rich, you had something astonishingly modern, an ensuite bathroom. Wealthy villas had a small washing room beside the bedroom, and next to it, a toilet. The seat was a smooth, carved piece of limestone, sometimes shaped like a low chair with a keyhole-shaped opening, set over a large pottery vessel or a box of sand. You sat, you went, and afterward, the waste was covered with sand. Exactly like a giant cat litter box. No pipes, no flush, no sewer. Because here's the thing. Even for the richest people in the richest country on earth, the plumbing was a human being. A servant carried the container away and emptied it, onto the fields, into a pit, or into the river. The pharaoh himself went this way, on a finer seat perhaps, with sweeter perfumes burning nearby, but fundamentally the same. A stone seat, a vessel of sand, and someone else to deal with what came next. The most powerful man in the world, and his toilet still couldn't do what yours does with one press of a handle. But that was the 1%. Now flip the picture, because almost everyone else had none of that. In an ordinary mud brick house, the bathroom was a humble clay pot in the corner, used at night or in private, and emptied by hand in the morning. Where? Onto the rubbish heap, into a pit outside, into the fields, or straight into the Nile. The same Nile people drank from, bathed in, washed their clothes in. And for millions of farmers, even a pot was a formality. You simply walked out, to the edge of the field, behind a wall, into the desert scrub. The world was the bathroom. In the heat of Egypt, among the flies, with your bare feet in irrigated mud, remember that detail, because it's about to matter. As for toilet paper, it wouldn't be invented for thousands of years. You used what was free, a handful of sand, stones, leaves, or just your left hand and water afterward. And this is why, across Egypt and much of the ancient world, the left hand was considered unclean. You ate, greeted, and gestured with the right. A hygiene rule so old it's burned into cultures to this day. Now connect the dots, because this is where the story turns deadly. A civilization of millions, pouring its waste into pits, fields, and a single river, the same river that watered the crops and filled the drinking cups. The Egyptians had no idea germs existed. No one on Earth did. They couldn't see what was breeding in that warm, slow water. Parasites. Above all, a waterborne worm, bilharzia, that slips straight through bare skin. Every farmer standing barefoot in a flooded field, every fisherman, every kid splashing in the shallows was exposed, over and over, for a lifetime. And the mummies prove it. When scientists examine preserved Egyptian bodies, they find the evidence of these infections again and again. Calcified eggs still sitting in 3,000-year-old tissue. Some scholars estimate a huge share of the population carried parasites, worms that caused blood in the urine so commonly that some researchers believe Egyptians may have seen it as almost normal, something most boys simply went through. Think about that. The price of living in the world's first great river civilization was that the river slowly, invisibly, made almost everyone sick. They were trapped in a loop they couldn't see. The water gave them everything, and the waste they returned to it took years of life back. The Egyptians couldn't see the cause, but they absolutely felt the effects, and they fought back with the best medicine of their age. Their medical papyri are obsessed with the gut. Dozens upon dozens of remedies deal with the stomach and the bowels. Honey, dates, castor oil, a natural laxative they knew and used well. Herbs mixed into beer, enemas of oil and water. The Egyptians, in fact, are credited with inventing the enema itself. Legend said the idea came from the sacred ibis bird. They even built it into the calendar. Greek visitors reported that Egyptians regularly set aside days to purge themselves with emetics and enemas because they believed most disease came from food rotting inside the body. Wrong about the mechanism. Weirdly close about the source. Their food and water really were what was poisoning them. And it was taken so seriously that the royal court had a dedicated specialist for it. Among the medical titles of the pharaoh's physicians, one translates literally as shepherd of the anus, the guardian of the royal bowels. It might be the funniest job title in history. It was also one of the most prestigious medical posts in the ancient world. Where the body was concerned, the Egyptians had no embarrassment at all, just problems to solve. Here's the final twist in the picture. For all of that, the Egyptians were famously clean people. They bathed daily, in the river or with basins at home, and the rich bathed several times a day. They scrubbed with natron, the same salt used to dry mummies, used early soaps and oils, rubbed themselves with moisturizers, and wore eye paint that fought off infection. Priests took it further, bathing multiple times a day and shaving every hair from their bodies, even the eyebrows, to deny lice any place to live. The Greek historian Herodotus marveled that Egyptians set cleanliness above seemliness. Being clean mattered more than looking dignified. They chewed natron pellets and herbs for fresh breath. Their linen was washed to a brilliant white. By the standards of the ancient world, an Egyptian was probably the cleanest human you could meet. And yet none of it could save them, because the danger wasn't on the skin, it was in the water. They were scrubbed, perfumed, immaculate people drinking from a contaminated river. The cleanest civilization of the Bronze Age was being quietly undermined by one kind of dirt nobody could see. So strip it all away one more time. The pyramids, the gold, the gods. A rich man sits on a carved stone seat over a box of sand, and a servant carries it away. A farmer squats at the edge of his field at dawn. A mother empties the night's pot into the river, then walks downstream to fill her water jar. None of them knows, none of them can know, that this, more than war or famine, is what's quietly stealing years from their lives. Now look at your bathroom. The boring white seat. The button you press without thinking. The pipe that carries everything away. The treatment plant you've never visited. The clean water that comes back out of the wall. Historians and doctors who rank humanity's greatest inventions keep coming to an awkward conclusion. The toilet and the sewer have saved more lives than almost any other technology, more than most medicines we celebrate. The unglamorous pipe quietly beat the worm. The Egyptians had the engineers. They moved rivers, raised mountains of stone, and preserved human bodies for 30 centuries. Given the germ theory we got, they might have built sewers that outlasted Rome's. They never got the chance, because the enemy was invisible, and they were 3,000 years too early. So tonight, when you press that handle and the water swirls away, that's not a boring moment. That's the finish line of one of the longest races in human history. The pharaohs never had it. You do.